Padre Pio, a deeply revered saint, is known for his miraculous healing powers, profound spirituality, and an unwavering connection with God. But there is one deeply haunting experience he had, a vision that changed the way he viewed the human soul and its battle with loneliness. Padre Pio witnessed something so poignant, so powerful, that it remains one of the most heart-wrenching moments of his spiritual journey. What did Padre Pio see when he glimpsed the fate of a soul that felt completely alone? Was it a message of despair, or was it a call for hope? In today's video, we're going to explore this deeply moving and transformative experience, delving into the mystery of the soul's profound isolation and the lessons Padre Pio's vision holds for us today. The story begins in the quiet confines of Padre Pio's cell, where the air was thick with prayer and the walls echoed with the sounds of his heartfelt supplications. Despite his fame, Padre Pio remained humble, committed to his monastic life and his mission to help those suffering from the spiritual and physical wounds of life. But even in his solitude, the saint was no stranger to the weight of human suffering. It was during one of his many deep moments of prayer that Padre Pio's vision began. As he prayed, he was given the grace to see into the spiritual world, a place where souls exist beyond the physical plane, stripped of their earthly attachments. In this vision, Padre Pio witnessed a soul that was entirely alone not by choice, but because of an overwhelming spiritual isolation. This soul was surrounded by nothingness, consumed by a deep darkness, a void so immense that it seemed to swallow everything in its path. It felt abandoned, cut off from the love of God, as if the soul were trapped in an eternal emptiness. Padre Pio described the experience as one of excruciating sorrow. He saw this soul's suffering, not because of the absence of love from others, but because it felt separated from God himself. Imagine being so isolated that not only the people around you are gone, but also that divine connection that gives meaning to existence. That is the ultimate loneliness. Padre Pio was deeply moved by what he saw. This was not just a feeling of abandonment, it was the painful reality of a soul in anguish. The soul, though it longed for God, could not reach him. It was in a state of complete despair, crying out for help, but unable to feel God's presence. Padre Pio described it as the deepest form of suffering, one that transcends the physical and psychological realms. It was a suffering of the soul, a torment that no human being could truly comprehend unless they had faced it themselves. Yet, despite the despair, Padre Pio's vision didn't end in hopelessness. What followed was a revelation, a moment of light in the darkness. The soul, though distant and alone, had not been forgotten. While it felt abandoned, Padre Pio understood that God's love is never truly absent, even when it feels that way. Padre Pio's vision wasn't just a depiction of spiritual isolation. It was also a call to understanding and compassion. This vision changed Padre Pio's life and his ministry. It became one of the most profound lessons he would share with the people who came to him for guidance. The message was clear. While loneliness is an inevitable part of the human condition, it is never complete. Even when we feel the most isolated, God's love is still present, silently working in our lives, waiting for us to call out to him. Padre Pio's encounter with the lonely soul serves as a poignant reminder for all of us. When we feel lost or abandoned, we must remember that God's presence is always with us, even in our darkest moments. The vision also serves as a reminder of the importance of compassion for others. Padre Pio was given a glimpse into the depths of human despair, and it moved him to help others who were struggling with their own loneliness and isolation. In the years that followed, Padre Pio became known for his ability to offer solace to those suffering from loneliness, depression, and despair. He often spoke to his spiritual children about the importance of prayer, especially when one feels most alone. He taught them to never lose faith, even when the world around them seemed silent. Padre Pio would often say, "Pray, hope, and don't worry." He believed that through prayer, even in the most desperate times, one could find peace and be reunited with God's presence. But what does Padre Pio's experience tell us about our own lives today? In a world where loneliness is rampant, whether due to the pressures of modern society, the loss of loved ones, or the isolation that comes with personal struggles, Padre Pio's vision offers us a glimpse of the hope we need. It teaches us that even when we feel isolated, there is always a higher presence that surrounds us with love. His vision is a challenge to find solace in prayer and in the knowledge that we are never truly alone. Today, loneliness can often feel like an overwhelming force. Whether it's a mental battle or a deep emotional wound, the feelings of being cut off from others can sometimes seem impossible to overcome. However, Padre Pio's teachings remind us that the antidote to loneliness is not to retreat into ourselves, but to reach out to God and to others. He didn't want us to despair in our darkest hours, but rather to trust in the love that is always present, even when it feels out of reach. Let's take a moment to reflect on how we can apply this message to our lives. When was the last time you felt completely alone? When did you last experience a moment of despair that seemed insurmountable? Now, imagine that despite everything, there is a higher power, a love greater than any isolation, waiting for you to reach out. Padre Pio's life was a testament to this. He suffered with and for others, showing that while loneliness can be a dark and terrifying experience, it's also a reminder that God's love is constant, even when we can't feel it. Padre Pio's insight into the nature of loneliness and the soul's longing for God also compels us to help those who are struggling. We may not be able to ease someone's loneliness directly, but our compassion, our presence, and our prayers can help bring a light into the darkness of their lives. The message here is clear. We are all called to be instruments of God's love, to reach out to others who may be feeling isolated and abandoned, just as Padre Pio did throughout his life. As we reflect on Padre Pio's vision, we can find both comfort and a challenge. The comfort is in knowing that no matter how alone we feel, we are never truly abandoned. The challenge is in how we live our lives, how we reach out to others, and how we keep our faith, especially when loneliness strikes. As we move forward, let's dive a little deeper into the impact that Padre Pio's vision of the soul's loneliness had on his own spiritual journey. After seeing the profound isolation of the soul in his vision, Padre Pio took it upon himself to comfort those who were suffering from a similar sense of abandonment. He was known to counsel his spiritual children with great empathy and compassion, understanding their struggles, because he had seen the depths of human despair firsthand. One of the most powerful things about Padre Pio's ministry was his ability to help others feel less alone. He would often remind them that even in their darkest moments, God was near. He shared stories of his own spiritual battles, letting people know that even saints like him had moments where they questioned their faith or felt overwhelmed by isolation. This honesty and vulnerability drew people to him, as they realized they weren't alone in their struggles. Padre Pio's own pain became a bridge for others to cross into healing. When Padre Pio performed his daily duties, whether it was hearing confessions, performing Mass, or giving spiritual counsel, he always made sure to look into the eyes of the person in front of him. It wasn't just a casual glance, it was a gaze filled with understanding and love. This was his way of letting each person know that they mattered, that they were seen, and that their pain wasn't unnoticed. Padre Pio also had a unique gift, the ability to sense the emotional and spiritual struggles of others without them having to speak a word. Many people who visited him reported that he would immediately address their hidden anxieties, fears, and feelings of loneliness. In fact, it was often his words of encouragement and his prayers that helped people through their toughest times. His ability to connect with others, especially those in emotional or spiritual pain, was unparalleled. What can we learn from this? In a world where people often hide their suffering, where loneliness can be disguised behind smiles and busy schedules, Padre Pio's example teaches us the importance of seeing others fully. How often do we really look at the people around us and notice their silent struggles? Padre Pio's ability to perceive the pain of others and offer comfort was not just a spiritual gift, it was a human one. It reminds us to be present with those who are hurting, to truly listen, and to offer support in whatever way we can. The next part of Padre Pio's journey also serves as a profound lesson for us. After his vision of the lonely soul, Padre Pio knew that the answer to loneliness wasn't simply to seek solace for oneself, but to bring others into the light of God's love. He often spoke about the power of community, the idea that no one should ever have to face their struggles alone. And yet, in our modern world, where loneliness is so prevalent, it's easy to feel isolated. Even in a crowded room, Padre Pio's vision calls us to be more intentional in how we interact with those around us. It challenges us to create communities that nurture and support one another, to be the hands and feet of God's love to those who feel abandoned. Whether it's a friend going through a tough time, a family member in need of support, or even a stranger we encounter on the street, we all have the opportunity to bring light into someone else's darkness. As we reflect on Padre Pio's life and vision, it's important to remember that loneliness is not just a feeling, it's a deep, spiritual struggle. While we might not always understand it, we can certainly recognize its impact. Padre Pio's approach was not to shy away from this reality, but to face it head-on, with compassion and faith. He showed that even in the face of profound isolation, there is always hope, and that hope is found in God's unending love, a love that never abandons us, no matter how far we feel from Him. So, what can we take away from this? The key lies in our ability to reach out to others, to recognize when someone is struggling with loneliness, and to offer them not just words, but real, tangible support. We can take inspiration from Padre Pio's example of not only offering prayers but offering ourselves. He showed us that being a presence for someone in their loneliness is one of the most profound acts of compassion we can offer. If Padre Pio's story resonates with you, take a moment to reflect on the people in your life. Who might be feeling alone? How can you be a source of support for them? Sometimes, just offering a kind word, listening without judgment, or simply being there for someone can make all the difference. As we continue to reflect on Padre Pio's deep understanding of loneliness and his connection with God, we must also explore the concept of spiritual warfare that he often spoke about. Padre Pio, in his many writings and conversations, acknowledged the reality of evil forces and the role they play in the suffering of souls. This brings us to the profound connection between his vision of the isolated soul and the battle that each of us faces between light and darkness in our spiritual lives. Padre Pio's vision of the lonely soul was not merely an observation of isolation, it was a glimpse into the spiritual conflict that every soul faces. The soul, alone in its suffering, was also vulnerable to the negative influences that seek to drive it further from God. Padre Pio was acutely aware of how loneliness could be exploited by these forces. He saw how people, in their deepest moments of isolation, could be tempted to believe that God had abandoned them, that their suffering was pointless, or that they were beyond help. This is where Padre Pio's teachings on spiritual warfare come into play. He often spoke about the importance of prayer and spiritual resilience, even in times of great despair. He understood that the devil would use loneliness, isolation, and despair as weapons to pull people away from God's love. In his vision, he saw that the soul's loneliness was not just a result of being abandoned by others, but a strategic tactic used to weaken the soul, making it more susceptible to spiritual defeat. Padre Pio's response to this battle was clear. He taught that prayer was the greatest weapon we have. The saint, who himself experienced intense spiritual warfare, including physical and emotional suffering, was adamant about the power of prayer in overcoming the darkness that threatens our souls. For Padre Pio, prayer wasn't just a way to communicate with God, it was a shield, a source of strength, and a reminder of God's constant presence, even when it seemed hidden. Through his example, Padre Pio showed us that loneliness is not just a physical or emotional state, it's a spiritual trial. He believed that when we face loneliness, we are also faced with a choice: to turn inward and allow the darkness to consume us, or to reach out in faith, trusting that God is with us, even when we feel the most alone. His own life, filled with suffering and isolation, demonstrated that even in the most intense moments of despair, God's love is steadfast. It's important to recognize that loneliness is not something to be ashamed of. Many of us experience it at different times in our lives, but the key, according to Padre Pio, is how we respond to it. The choice to turn to God in prayer, even when it feels difficult or futile, is one of the most powerful acts we can make in those moments of isolation. Prayer, in Padre Pio's eyes, is not just a way of asking for help, it is a way of drawing closer to God, of seeking His presence and His love, especially when we can't feel it. One of the most striking aspects of Padre Pio's ministry was his ability to help others in their spiritual struggles. He didn't just offer advice, he walked with people through their pain. He often reminded those who came to him that suffering when united with Christ, can become redemptive. He would often say, "Do not worry. Do not be afraid of your troubles. Offer them up to God." Padre Pio's vision of the lonely soul, then, is not just a warning about the dangers of isolation. It is an invitation to use our suffering to draw closer to God. Let's pause here for a moment and think about the times in our own lives when we've experienced loneliness. Maybe it was after a loss, during a difficult season, or even in the midst of a crowded room, feeling disconnected from everyone around us. How did we respond to those feelings? Did we turn inward, becoming consumed by despair, or did we reach out in faith, seeking solace in God's love? Padre Pio's teachings remind us that even in our darkest moments, we have the power to connect with God. Prayer, for him, was not just a practice, it was a way to fight the spiritual battle against loneliness, against isolation, and against despair. And just as he taught others, he demonstrated that even in the most difficult times, we are never truly alone. Another important aspect of Padre Pio's teachings is his emphasis on community. He didn't just encourage people to pray for themselves, he encouraged them to pray for one another. Padre Pio understood that the spiritual journey is not meant to be walked alone. He saw prayer as a communal act, one that binds us together as the body of Christ. In a world where loneliness can feel overwhelming, Padre Pio's message is a call to be present for one another, to share in each other's struggles, and to support one another through prayer and love. Padre Pio's vision of the lonely soul is also a reminder of the importance of reaching out to those who are struggling. While we may not always know the extent of someone's pain or isolation, we can always offer a listening ear, a comforting word, or a prayer. Just as Padre Pio reached out to those who were suffering, we too are called to be instruments of God's love and mercy to those who need it most. As we reflect on Padre Pio's teachings, let us take a moment to commit ourselves to the battle against loneliness, both in our own lives and in the lives of others. Let us remember that God's love is always present, even when we cannot feel it, and that through prayer and community, we can overcome the darkness that loneliness brings. Before we close, I encourage you to share in the comments how you've experienced loneliness and how you've found strength in your faith. How can we support each other in this journey? Let's continue this conversation, and may we all find comfort in knowing that we are never truly alone, no matter how isolated we may feel. As we come to the end of this video, let's reflect one last time on the profound lessons Padre Pio's vision of the lonely soul offers us. His ability to see beyond the surface, to witness the deep isolation of a soul separated from God, is a reminder of the spiritual battles that we all face in our lives. But it also offers us a message of hope. No matter how dark the journey may seem, God's love is never far away. Padre Pio's own suffering, his connection to God, and his care for others show us that loneliness isn't a permanent state. It is instead a trial that can be overcome with prayer, faith, and the support of our community. Just as Padre Pio ministered to countless souls, helping them find peace through prayer and a deeper connection with God, we too are called to be present for one another, offering love and compassion in times of need. In a world that is often filled with isolation, it is easy to forget the power of companionship, both with God and with those around us. But Padre Pio's life teaches us that, even in our loneliest moments, we are never abandoned. God's love surrounds us, and the power of prayer is always available to us, no matter how distant we may feel. So, as you move forward from this video, I encourage you to remember Padre Pio's vision and teachings. When you face loneliness or despair, reach out in prayer. Seek the support of others and offer your own support to those who are suffering. Let us all be instruments of God's love, extending His light into the lives of those who feel abandoned or alone. If you found peace or inspiration in this story, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Let's continue this journey of faith together, spreading hope, love, and the knowledge that we are never truly alone. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Let's keep this conversation going in the comments below. How has Padre Pio's message impacted your understanding of loneliness and faith? We'd love to hear from you. May the peace of Christ be with you always, especially when you face the deepest moments of isolation, and may you always remember, you are loved, you are seen, and you are never alone. God bless you, and thank you for being a part of this journey.